Oh, well, are we ready to get into one went right?
Mm-hmm.
Dawgs off the leash.
Well, Browns is the Browns indeed.
Yeah.
Right.
So despite the loss, I think actually a lot went right in this game,
Yeah.
especially on one side of the ball.
Yep.
Which is kind of the same old story for at least this Browns team.
Well, if we say we picked up right where we left off,
Yeah.
is that about right? All around?
I don't think.
Yeah.
I mean, we pretty much dominated them for 2.5 quarters.
Yep.
I mean, the first half, that first drive, we marched right down the field, and then when they had the penalty on our extra point, no hesitation from Stefanski, which I loved. He was being aggressive. He knew that we had to come in and be aggressive to have any chance of beating these guys. It was almost like he listened to our pregame show about not coming in vanilla, not coming in afraid, and having to go out there and play your game and be aggressive and go score points. And that's exactly what we did. They couldn't stop us for 2.5 quarters. It was like we were going on air.
Yeah, I mean, the opening drive was exactly what we needed to do. I mean, we took up half the quarter on a 13-play drive, go down, not only get 7, but you get 8 with the penalty, and all the momentum was on our side. Now, we knew that, and like Stefanski going for it, I mean, he knew more than 7 points was going to have to decide this game, so getting that extra point, it may seem small, but it was a huge difference later on, as the first and second quarter progressed, that we stretched that lead out to a 2-possession game then.
Yes.
Rather than, okay, we're only up 8 at a certain point instead of 9, they could go down and tie it and get a 2-point themselves. And it's a whole different outlook to the game. And the defense I was super excited for our defense going into this. Like, everybody, we got all these new pieces. Everybody, they're saying that the defense is fast and we're going to be able to cover everybody. No.
Well, we're not there yet.
We're not. All right. So if we're talking about what went right, though, defensively, I mean, we were holding them to field goals for a little bit.
Yeah. What was the score at halftime?
What was it?
Score at halftime was 22-10.
Okay.
Hold them, we held them to 10 points in the first half.
Yes. Yeah. Well, if you think about it, so what went right for us was we had a long touchdown drive, and then they kind of had a long drive too that I got it pulled up. They had an 8-minute or a 6-minute drive after our 7 minutes and 7 seconds to just get a field goal.
Yes.
So I think I remember, texting, our Patreon members and Blake and Josh and Justin saying that was a win. That's like getting a turnover almost against the Chiefs, that they just ate up all that clock and had to settle for 3 points.
Yep. And then we took the ball right back and went down up 2 scores. And at that point, you're thinking, if the defense can just get the route's on. I know it's early, but that's the way it was looking because there was no stopping us. And Kevin Stefanski, is he the best play caller in the league? If not, he's top 3 to 5.
He's making a really strong case for it.
Yeah, I mean, I have a feeling as long as things continue to go this way, 10 years from now, he's going to be looked at kind of as like, maybe not even 10 years, might not even take that long. He's going to be like a Shanahan, an Andy Reid. People are going to be looking at him as that level, a Sean McVay.
Oh, yeah, I think he's there. I think he's there in a lot of people's eyes right now today, that he's top 3 maybe in the NFL today. And think about it, when we first brought Stefanski in, we had the conversation of, did we really want him to call plays and have the head coach be the guy who calls plays, or did we want him to delegate so he could pay attention to everything else? I think I was one of the guys that was like, oh, it'd be nice to see him delegate. I was stupid because I don't want to see anybody else with the play chart in front of him calling plays in than Kevin Stefanski.
And it's a credit to him too that he can pay attention to just because I coach junior high football and I call the plays. And when we're on offense and I'm thinking about calling plays, I
don't have time to think about everything else.
I have a hard time keeping an eye on down and distance and clock sometimes.
Right.
This is 7th grade. It's literally the lowest of lowest levels. And there's still a lot going through my mind when I'm calling the plays. So for the fact that on the biggest stage in sports, he can go out there and call a game like that while still making decisions on if we should challenge, what we're going to do, the next time we come out on defense. And obviously he has a lot of trust in the assistant coaches on the other side of the ball that he can delegate that to. Now we'll get into, should he have that trust? Yeah, we'll get into that. But we've said it before on the show, and we're going to say it forever. We hit a home run in our coaching pick.
Yeah, is incredible. And so many people keep labeling the Browns as like, well, they're just this run-heavy team. They're run. No. We are a run-efficient team. That's what people see, and they mistake it for run-heavy. We don't need to be run-heavy. We run a little bit, but we're really freaking good at it.
I'll tell you, this is what you always hear about when the announcers are talking and anybody who's breaking it down. There's a marriage between the run game and the pass. It all looks the same. Mm-hmm. So defensively, it's so hard to key in on anything because this pass play, all the motion, all the lineman steps, everything looks just like the run play we just ran. So there's so much cohesion on the offensive side of the ball, and we're so fundamentally sound in every single facet of the game on offense that the defense is constantly guessing, which is why, we'll get into – whenever it becomes obvious to everybody that we have to throw, that's when we need to get better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree. Some really bright spots for the Browns on Sunday. David Njoku balled out. I mean, he looked like the guy we've been wanting him to be. I mean, he's just so much bigger than almost anybody that has to match up with him on the field, even if it's a linebacker. David Njoku is a freak athlete of his own right, and he looked really, really good. That we kind of talked about Harrison Bryant. We wanted to see him a little bit more. I don't want to see him in pass catching scenarios if that's the David Njoku we're going to get.
I mean, and on 5 targets, he only had 3 catches, but he had 76 yards. He was the leading receiver, and they were big catches. You know what I mean?
Big catches and not wide open either.
Correct.
Some of them were in traffic, with a cornerback draped all over him.
The biggest problem and gripe Browns fans have had with Njoku since we drafted him was that he had Greg Little hands.
Yeah.
And we saw last year, even though he didn't get the ball as much last year, but he seemed to he didn't have as many drops. And then in our first game this year, I mean, he balled out. That one catch he had from Baker, that laser down the right sideline to him. Oh man. I mean, that's going to be lethal if he continues to play like that. I got PFF pulled up. He had an 83.9 grade. That's the highest grade of any tight end or receiver.
I'm pretty sure that grade and that scale of like 80 to 89 is Pro Bowl caliber like grades. That's what the Pro Bowl guys get. So I mean, if we can get that type of a David Njoku, obviously he's not going to be on the field every single snap stuff because we do have Austin Hooper.
He played 35 snaps, though. Austin Hooper played 38. So they're basically 50-50 right now.
Yeah, those two are going to be the two guys in situations where we have to pass the football. And I thought that he looked great. Definitely a standout. We saw it last year, though, early in the season, too, where we were like, David Njoku's, because we weren't sure last year going in the season if he was even going to be around. And then it was like, man, he's actually, I think it was the first game last year, he blew up too.
Yeah.
And then he ended up getting injured for a couple weeks, and then he came back.
I've got him pulled up last year. Week 1, he had 3 catches, 50 yards, and a touchdown.
Yeah, so I mean, he's a guy that's normally ready at the beginning of the year. It's a health thing for him, the not having the drops, making sure he's a reliable pass catcher.
I think one thing that's interesting, so I saw some things saying like we didn't need Hooper anymore. You still got to have Hooper.
Hooper.
We still run 2 tight end sets. They ran, Hooper was on the field 38 plays and Njoku on the field 35. That means they were on the field together a lot because we didn't run 73 plays.
And if I'm not mistaken, Hooper had all 3 of his catches on that first drive.
And they were the slant was on 4th down. That's a big time catch. That's why he's here. You have to have guys like that all over the place. And the kind of offense we run, Austin Hooper's not going to have 1,500 yards receiving.
No.
But we know if we throw it to him on a 4th and 3 quick slant, he's going to catch it.
Yeah.
And that's why he's there.
That catch was not easy, and he made it look easy. Defenders all over him. They know he's running that route because they know that he's just going to the sticks to get the first down. And Baker throws it low where it was either Hooper's catching it or it's incomplete, and Hooper went, scraped it off the ground to catch that ball. He's proven time and time again that he's got reliable hands in those critical situations, and you can see that it's either normally Jarvis or Hooper is who Baker goes to when he knows he needs that first down, where he knows he's got, he needs 4 or 5 yards. Those are his two guys.
Yep. And one thing that is interesting between the two tight ends, Njoku actually had a higher pass blocking grade than Hooper. So we always dog Njoku for his blocking. And then in the run blocking department, Hooper had a 57 grade and Njoku only had a 54. So more in the pass, and basically right there with him. So Njoku been putting in that work.
When we talked about Njoku during the preseason, I found those stats from last year that he actually had a better pass blocking grade than Hooper last year throughout the season.
Which makes sense because pass blocking is more about moving your feet, staying in front of the guy, and Njoku's a superior athlete.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not always about just technique and stuff like that, like getting leverage like Hooper.
That's your run blocking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, definitely Njoku was a bright spot, and one guy that I was, in the preview talked about, I don't know how much playing time he's going to get out there on the field. Schwartz was on the field a lot.
I wish we could go back, and that's the coldest take of all time.
Yeah,
when Zach said,
freezing cold.
I just don't think Schwartz will ever get on the field. We might as well not even have him on our
come on.
team.
You guys didn't. You guys thought he was going to be out there as much as...
No, I honestly thought whenever it came time, right before the game we heard Odell wasn't playing, which is another story, I thought it was going to be DPJ and Higgins.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
And then it was Schwartz, and
the first pass he caught, I sat there for a second. I saw number 10. I'm like, wait a second, who is that? And then when they said Schwartz, I'm like, really?
He's not a big guy, but he's bigger than I thought.
Yeah, he's taller than you would think. He's not a little burner like,
He's not JoJo Natson.
No, and he's not like a Brandon Cook stuff. He's a taller wide receiver. And that one play that we had where Baker just threw the bomb and he was wide open and he just was like a half stride off from catching it in stride. It's a touchdown.
His route off for some reason.
Yeah, I would say
I don't know why he broke his route off.
First real game action for a rookie receiver. Later in the season, once he's got more experience and everything under him, that is he's underneath it. He takes it to the house kind of play, because I was off my couch on that one. Like, we had a touchdown. He was wide open.
He broke out and cut off his route for some reason, and Baker threw it deep, and he was still almost fast enough to catch back up to it. And it's, like you said, who knows what this guy's going to be like 6, 7, 8 games from now. That end around, he makes one dude in the secondary miss. It's gone.
Yeah,
there's nobody catching this guy.
No, and those plays are going to start happening because we're not going to be playing the Kansas City Chiefs defense every week. And even though we were playing the defense of the Kansas City Chiefs, we were scoring like it was nothing.
Here's my thing too: is the Chiefs defense isn't great, but I thought they tackled well. That's a big difference in the game. There was a huge play late in the game where it might have been on the one drive we went 3 and out towards the end, and Kareem Hunt caught a swing pass out of the backfield, and this linebacker came up and tackled him in the open field 1-on-1, and I was like, if that was the other way and we were expecting Mac Wilson to come up and tackle their running back on that, it would have been a first down.
12 yards.
Well, Mac Wilson had that opportunity against Patrick Mahomes and whiffed, but we'll talk about that.
But I just think that they tackle well. So, Schwartz was definitely a bright spot, and I think you can tell that we have plans for this guy. He was not picked to be a gadget guy that only gets like one play a game. I think even when Odell comes back, he's going to be on the field because, you put him and Odell on the field together. Mm-hmm. That's so much.
If it ever happens, if Odell ever comes back, If Odell ever comes back,
we're going to talk a little bit about Odell. I will say this: nobody expected him to be ready week 1, anyways. So we shouldn't be surprised. It's the fact that
everybody said he was ready.
Was supposed to play, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he's just not quite ready. But you were cleared like 3 days ago, where you said you were.
Right. Yeah.
So
it was the tease that really sucked there. But
so was it a tease for us, or was it?
Let's make them think
think Odell's playing.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But And then obviously we haven't even talked about the a huge bright spot for the Browns offense is Baker Mayfield.
Let's do it. Let's talk about him because
for basically a game, all but 2 minutes. So for 57 minutes of a game, this dude carved them up. I mean, he only had 7 incompletions.
He was like a surgeon, man. He really was.
Yeah, I mean, he made some throws too that were just lasers. Like the one to DPJ late in the game, I think it was on a 3rd and short. He hit DPJ on a quick slant.
Yeah.
I think it was DPJ's only catch.
It was only catch.
That was a crazy throw. The throw to Njoku down the sideline was insane. The throw to Hooper on the first drive for 4th and 3 was crazy. I mean, he looked like a guy who was finally in his second year of the offense, who had a firm grasp on what we wanted to do, and his accuracy. I think Dan Orlovsky said it. He was by far the most accurate quarterback of Week 1.
Yeah, I mean, he looked. His throws were crisp. You know, there was no. I think even the one where he kind of missed David Njoku on the on the right sideline going. He was like rolling out right and just kind of threw it up and said, "All right, well, hey." If Njoku can make a play, he didn't miss by much, and his deep ball looked great going to Schwartz at the times that he did that. He even scrambled a little bit in the pocket and actually ran, a little bit. So I thought Baker played very, very well. I know that there's going to be a lot of talk about the interception at the end and all of that but Baker was what we wanted him to be.
Something you just said about moving around in the pocket. You notice there's no more of that happy feet crap.
I was just about to say
like
that.
last season we started out and it was like that for the first half of the season where it was still that happy feet. I'm going to get hit. I got to move.
Take off running, or there were some times last year early in the season where the pocket would start to collapse on him and he would like tuck the ball and like start to run, and he just looked lost in the pocket. He looked so comfortable in the pocket.
So this is something I wanted to talk about. So I brought up Week 1 stats for Baker Mayfield against the Ravens away on the road last year to open the season, and then, of course, on the road away in Kansas City to open the season this year. So last year in 2020, Baker Mayfield was 21 completions of 39, 189 yards, 4.8, average, a touchdown, a pick, 33.2 QBR. Abysmal. It was pathetic. We were ready to trade for Gardner Minshew.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield, this past Sunday, 21 of 28, 321 yards, 11.5 average, no touchdowns because he didn't need them. The stupid pick at the end, we'll get to that. It's whatever. QBR 68.3. I mean, over 50-point increase.
50, and I think QBR 50 is considered average.
Right.
Which means, so he was essentially a B-plus quarterback, and without that pick, his QBR would have been the 70s.
Yes, absolutely. And if he'd had more touchdowns or any touchdowns.
Yes.
But
yeah.
And that's another thing, too, people talking about Baker not having touchdowns. It's because we were mauling them.
We didn't need it. Yeah, exactly.
Well, at no point were we ever... We didn't score any long touchdowns. We methodically moved right down the field, and then we'd get to the 5 or the 10-yard line
run it down
their throat and score. Why would we throw touchdowns?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
You don't need to.
The biggest stat that I'd liked of Baker that was like the most surprising when you look at his stat sheet was the 11.5 average.
Yeah, wasn't dinking and dunking.
No, Mahomes had less. Mahomes' average was 9.4. And the 9. I mean, you wouldn't have thought that. Even like looking back, if I would have said who had the higher, you would have said, oh, it had to be Mahomes. But no, it was actually Baker. The game plan was, awesome from the get-go of we were able to do whatever we wanted on offense. And it was just a few key things that happened that just we shot ourselves in the foot.
Yep.
We did indeed. But anything else about Baker we want to hit on before? Because I wanted to just say real quick another comparison between the start of this year and last year, though, was Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, guys. Oh, my Lord. 5.5 yards a carry for both of them. And we talked about this last year after Week 1. Kareem Hunt was 5.5 that game against the Ravens, and Nick Chubb was 6.
Yeah, I mean, they're both so good, and the fact that we have both of them, you can keep the guy fresh. Like in that first drive, it was Nick Chubb, yep. Carry here, carry there, and you didn't see Hunt at all on the first drive. Second drive, now it's Kareem Hunt's turn, and he's fresh, and he's going against his old team. So, and that one where he had where he hurdled over the guy.
Oh my gosh, that was pretty
Oh
sweet.
my gosh. I mean,
He was
other
like a
NFL
train,
teams
man.
do not have what those two guys can give you because they're both number one backs, and Kareem Hunt's starting for almost every other NFL team if he was on it.
Maybe a handful of teams he's not a starter.
Yeah.
Probably the Saints.
Saints, the McCaffrey,
You
Derrick
think Tampa Bay would
Henry
take Kareem Hunt?
over what they got going on. I mean, he is so underrated too because I think everybody sees him as like second fiddle, but it's 1A and 1B in Cleveland. I mean, Nick Chubb does have that second level that and he just finds a way to ho-hum about it. But
Kareem Hunt's touchdown, right? Wasn't it Nick Chubb kind of got him down the field, and I think he was a little gassed.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, Kareem Hunt comes in. It's like you said, fresh legs. I mean, he just plows his way right. It's just
Could you imagine? Yeah, could you imagine our run game now? Dearness Johnson's not bad, but could you imagine if Nick Chubb needed a spell and we brought in Dearness Johnson? We're probably passing the football, but when you bring in Kareem Hunt, that's not the case. You got to be ready for the run.
He only had 9 touches. He only had 6 rushes and 3 catches, but he had over 50 yards of offense, averaged 5.5 a carry, and had a touchdown.
And that's what he did last year.
That's efficient.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's efficient. And then Nick Chubb's awesome. I know he had the fumble, which we'll get into, but
and that's another thing. So look at these two running backs. They to combine 21 carries. The Browns are not a run heavy team. I mean, Mark Ingram for the Texans, I think, had 26 carries himself. You know what I mean? Derrick Henry gets 20 plus a game himself. 21 between these two guys, and people are like, "Oh, they're a run heavy team." We're a run efficient team.
Well, and we didn't have the ball that many plays.
Yeah, we ran 56 plays.
And that's because we couldn't get off the field on defense. It was just like we were playing keep away from them in the first half. They essentially played keep away from us in the second half. I think when they came out in the third quarter and got the ball and took, I think, 8.5 minutes to score, by the time our offense came back on the field, it had been like 35 minutes real time since our offense had the ball. That's a long time to go without the ball.
It is.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, there's a lot of things to take away. And obviously there's things we can do better. I don't want to, I'm not going to get too mad about things that happened in week 1. I'm not going to get too up, but it's highly encouraging for the offense to look like that in week 1. I mean,
offense is right up there with the top in
the league.
We can hang with anybody.
Yeah.
Anybody
offensively, I'm taking us over a lot of teams. And
arguably, you could take us over the Chiefs. We're more well-rounded. They got 2 people, and any other defense in the league at least figures out a way to make it hard for them.
Yeah, I think that, offensively, we're right there. We showed we belong. It's the other side that we got to worry about.
All right, we ready for the struggle?
Mm-hmm.
In the doghouse.
Listen, let me say something to you as a friend. You suck.
Your PFF grade just went up for that, Josh.
Yes.
So what went wrong for the Browns? Mm-hmm. Where to start? I think, and I hate to do this, but what went wrong was Nick Chubb can't fumble. I know Gillen's getting a lot of crap right now, but the fact of the matter is we were driving, we were going to score again. And
at least 3.
Yeah.
You're right. Points were on the way.
They couldn't stop us again.
It, no.
We were gashing them again.
Yep.
And then we gave them the ball back right away. Our defense was just on the field for 8.5 minutes. And we gave them the ball back. And it's just, you just can't fumble. And he doesn't hardly ever fumble, but they're big ones. This one and then the one against the Patriots, was it last year or the year before?
Yeah.
Bad weather game.
Bad weather game.
Yeah.
He went from gloves to no gloves to back to
And it's just like, don't fumble.
Like you said, and it's not like he fumbled, deep into their territory where they had to drive the field then. No,
short field.
Yeah, short field. It's like, dude.
And it was quick. It was quick too, because it was 3. Right. It was the third play into the drive. Chiefs just had a 7.5 minute drive, 14 plays, go down, they score to get it to a 1-possession game. And then we give the ball right back. And and I was already, as soon as it happened, I was like, all right, well, they're going to go down and take the lead, is what I thought. instantly. I was like, well, we just gave him the ball. Patrick Mahomes going to go, and now we're going to be playing from behind. Here we go. And defensively, we ended up holding him to a field goal, and I was like, man, that's a sigh of relief. We still got the lead, and we're going to get the ball. We're going to go right back down the field and score, which we did. My biggest thing that I thought was the first wrong, everything went right in that first half until we had the penalty. So we get the ball back on our 1 yard line, if you remember, with 1:30 left in the game to go. And
in the half, you mean?
Yeah, in the half. Okay, so 1:30 left, and Kareem Hunt gets the carry, takes it 5 yards. Kansas City calls timeout, thinking they're going to get the ball back. And then all of a sudden, we just go, Kareem Hunt gets a 15-yard carry, and then Baker throws a deep pass to Njoku to get us to the Kansas City 36 for 43 yards. We had the ball at their 36-yard line with 49 seconds left when we called timeout.
Came out with no points.
And then, we're looking, and at that point, it's 22-10. We're thinking, hey, we can go get a field goal. We're going to go up 15.
Yep.
And then we ended up, it was an incomplete pass to Schwartz, where Schwartz kind of broke off that route, and Baker threw it to the end zone. And if he would have just kept going, who knows?
Yeah.
Because it was one-on-one.
And that guy was toast.
Yeah, and so that happens, and then we got the penalty on Taylor for the holding that backs us up to the 46. Then Baker takes a sack for an 11-yard loss. So now we went from the 36 to the 46. That now we're all the way back on our own 43, and we called a time. For some reason, they didn't call a timeout to try to block the punt. We ended up being able to try to throw that Hail Mary, and then we didn't throw the Hail Mary, threw the quick out to Jarvis.
And we
awesome. We almost scored a touchdown that way.
That was one of the coolest plays I've ever seen.
Can you imagine if that ball gets to anybody but Baker in that situation?
I was thinking the same thing.
Like it just happened to get to Baker.
Baker looked like he was going to, for a second, I thought he's going to take it.
Imagine if that gets to Chubb or anybody.
But,
oh my God.
But if I'm telling you guys that we have the ball with 49 seconds, so 49 seconds left, 1st and 10 at their 36, and we still have 2 timeouts left, you're telling me you didn't think we were going to put points on the board?
I thought for sure we were going to go score again.
So, think about that, what that could have meant. Even, being up 12 was a lot, it felt like, but we could have been up even more.
Not against the Chiefs.
So that was one of those scenarios where I was like, man, we dropped the ball on that because we did all that work. We started on our 1 and took it all the way to their side of the field, and then had to settle obviously for that Hail Mary play. But man,
yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up because I focus so much on the fumble and then the Jamie Gillen. They're saying bad snap. No way. It hit him in the hands. And then he still had plenty of time to punt it.
Do something.
Yeah. And then I have, my thoughts on Baker at the end. So I hadn't even thought about that. That's all. Those are hidden things that don't show up in the box score that when you go back and look at it, you're like, damn, we could have been up 15 at the half, or at least, got 3 there.
Yeah.
So I want to touch on the Jamie Gillen thing before we get into the defense. You have to catch the ball. And I know people were like, it's a tough situation. He hasn't been in all game, 3 hours. He hasn't touched the ball. And
Nope.
He gets paid to kick the football.
I haven't caught a football in a long time. I can go outside and catch one.
Yeah. He gets paid to kick the football. This is a professional athlete. I don't want to hear about he was sitting on the bench for, it's been like 3 hours.
I got into it with people on Twitter and stuff, and they were like, and I was saying, we need to look at somebody else. And because not only did this mistake, he's statistically one of the worst punters in the league.
Yeah, he hasn't been great. He lives by, this persona of he's got muscles. He doesn't look like he's got long hair. He doesn't look like your typical punter.
Yeah.
Who cares?
I would rather have the typical punter who's going to punt that ball away and make Mahomes have to drive 60 yards for a touchdown.
He's statistically not a great punter. And they were like, he catches, he has 2 drop snaps in his whole career, and he's a great holder, and he always catches the snap. And I said, I don't grade my punters on how well they hold PATs and how well they catch punt snaps.
Yeah.
Like, that'd be like grading quarterback on how well he takes snaps under center and hands the ball off.
Well,
that's not what I grade my people on.
And I'm sorry, only 2 drop snaps in his career. Why does he have any?
He's only been a punter for 2 full.
Yeah,
he's only been 2 seasons.
It hasn't been like a long career for this guy.
It's not like he's 2 decades in.
And like you said, and I've said this to people too in the last few days, like he's got to be able to catch the ball, and I gotta fix my wording on that, because it's not like he's out there catching a pass. No one's throwing it to him. He's not making an adjustment. You are corralling a freaking snap that you've been doing your entire football career. It blows my mind.
And then
blows my mind.
The other part of it is, okay, so that happens, still kick the football.
At least attempt to kick it.
At least try, because
Yeah.
I don't know where he was thinking he was going to be able to run for the first down, because it was 4th and 12. I mean,
well, and it's not like it was a designed run, so nobody's blocking for you.
Yeah, it was just bad.
The Browns had Brenton Colquitt a few years back, one of the best punters in the league. And you remember when there was supposedly a competition between the two, and then we cut Colquitt to keep him, and
we traded Colquitt.
And we kind of couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And it was all the Scottish Hammer. If you remember in the preseason that year, he didn't even punt that well in that preseason.
Right. My one friend called him after that the Irish Mallet. That's his new nickname.
Yeah.
He doesn't deserve Scottish Hammer.
And I just feel like he gets people like him because of his nickname and all the reasons you said. But if you look at it, he's just not a great punter.
No, I mean,
even when he catches his snaps and makes his PAT holds, he doesn't kick the ball far.
Yeah, which
it's supposed to be his thing.
Right. So he was able to handle the PAT snap, though. He wasn't too cold on the bench for doing that.
Yeah.
It's a lot closer and has a lot more to do with, you got to put it in the right spot and got to make sure the laces are facing.
So you got to catch the ball there, because
a huge play.
At that point too, it's like when it rains, it pours, and it's very hard to get that momentum back. We had the Chubb fumble, but then we held them to 3, and then we did go down and score, and it's like we're trying to get the momentum back.
We score to go back up 29-20, and then what happens? Another down thing. The John Johnson losing the football he was playing in the dark and couldn't find it.
Yeah, that was rough, man.
Unbelievable that was not that was a touchdown.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill he might as well have just been playing on air, because Johnson had no idea where the ball was. When Mahomes let that go, a lot of the experts on big networks have been saying, everybody, that's a pick by anybody else. In Mahomes, he does that stuff. He gets away with that stuff all the time.
Rainbows, and he's just like the luckiest guy in the world.
Yeah. So you have that happen. So Browns march down the field, right? 29-20. Everybody takes that, big exhale and be like, all right, we're back up. And then one play, bam, touchdown. We're like, all right, they're right back in it. Well, we just went down and scored on them. Let's eat some clock. Let's go down.
We're still up 2.
Get some points on the board. And no, what happens? We have the muffed punt on the 4th down, give it back. They score in 3 plays, 15 yards.
And I think
take the lead.
I think I even said after we gave up the big play, I was like, as long as we can go down and score here, it's no harm, no foul. We're right back to where we were, up 9, up 2 scores.
Yep.
And so far today, they haven't proven to be able to stop us. I don't really remember the drive, but I'm pretty sure it was a 3 and out.
I think you're right.
I'm pretty sure, and it's like, why is now the time to sputter?
Yep.
And then you just can't. It's hard to get that momentum back, especially on the road. Their crowd's into it. It was crazy loud.
And I just got to say, okay, so you got the 2 fumbles. Now, neither one is okay. It's both. They're both terrible. But Nick Chubb is running a football that he's getting tackled, hit, punched.
Oh, and it was
he's got arms in there. Guys are trying to make you fumble the ball. Jamie Gillen dropped the ball.
Yeah.
Nobody around him dropped the ball.
Yeah,
that's inexcusable.
If you look at the Nick Chubb fumble, the safety or cornerback Thornhill put his helmet right on the football. It was just one of those things where, you don't see that happen a lot all the time. And that guy, he put his helmet right where it needed to be to pop the ball loose because Nick Chubb doesn't fumble.
No, and that's why I'm saying like it's not, and I'm not making an excuse for Chubb. Like you can't have that, but it is easier to rally around a stud who does not make mistakes very often and get your momentum back.
Right.
But when you've got a punter that drops a ball, a snap, what do you do at that point?
At that point in the game too, I mean, there was only 7 minutes.
Yep.
Deep in our own territory.
7 minutes left in the game when that took place. Or no, actually, it was more than that. It was 7 minutes when we got the ball back and didn't go down to score when we went 3 and out. Then miraculously, we go 3 and out, give them the ball back, and I was thinking, well, we better try to hold them to 3 so we can try to go down and get a touchdown tied. Our defense actually got off the field and made them punt. And then, obviously, the last drive for us happened.
So, before, we got to get into the defense. We just talked about the long pass we gave up. John Johnson, we were so pumped to get him. He had a 55.7 grade on PFF, and you can't give that touchdown up.
No, I mean, okay, so one of the biggest...
Just look up.
Yeah, that was terrible. That was a terrible play. John Johnson, I don't know if Justin bought your jersey or not, but I'd return it right now and make you earn it back. The other thing that we haven't really touched on that's killer for our defense is the Ronnie Harrison situation.
Oh, my God.
We haven't talked about it yet.
We're going to talk about it when I can swear.
Yeah, so
jump in the Patreon after this.
So I wanted to bring that part up. So we lose Ronnie Harrison. So who do we have to play at safety? Okay, we brought Grant Delpit in. No, we didn't, because Grant Delpit didn't play. We had to convert MJ Stewart from his cornerback position to play safety, and then he was our best safety in the game.
Yep, he had a 68.8 grade.
John Johnson, that can't happen.
Yep.
And these are the teams that we brought John Johnson in to defend against.
Yeah, to be our leader.
I'm sorry, dude. We didn't bring you in to shut down Tyrod Taylor next week. We didn't bring you in to shut down, whoever the crap teams are playing later in the season. It's Patrick Mahomes. It's Josh Allen. It's Lamar Jackson. It's these guys that are going to light us up if we don't have defenders.
Yeah.
That can do it.
Yeah, so we pretty much gave Joe Woods a pass last year because we were like, he really didn't have anybody, right? He didn't have anybody. So we went out, and what we did, we spent some money this offseason. We went out and we got Walker. We went out and we've drafted 2 guys on our defense that are going to be big playmakers for years to come. Now, one of them, Newsome, thought he played really, really well.
He was actually the highest graded rookie corner in the league in week 1.
Yeah, I thought he played really, really well. I don't remember, seeing any lapses on plays from him, and like Blake, I think you mentioned it, like I didn't see him much, which meant that was a good thing because they weren't targeting him. Name a team that does that to a rookie. Normally, like Tom Brady sees a rookie, he's licking his chops, he's going right after him. And that seems to be the trend, throughout the whole NFL. Yep. So Newsome, I thought he played really well. JOK, it was said on there. I don't know, Blake, if you got the snap counts or stuff like that pulled up, but
he played 25 snaps.
So 25 snaps. So he was out there a good bit because none of our linebackers blew it away. We don't have that guy that's out there.
I'm going to get into this with our linebackers.
Yeah, we don't have the linebacker that's out there playing 90% of our snaps. We're mixing guys in here and there. So JOK, though, he didn't stand out for me as what I thought he was going to be. Like, man, he just made that big play, or he had that great tackle there, or he was really good in coverage. Didn't stand out to me in game 1.
So I'll just say real quick, let's just go back to the Ronnie Harrison situation real fast since you brought that up. Yeah. That whole situation can't happen.
I'm not going to say Ronnie Harrison shouldn't get a penalty for pushing a coach. You can't push a coach.
Right.
But a coach can't push a player.
Nope.
No.
And actually, a lot of ex-players on Twitter were coming to Ronnie Harrison's defense saying, if the coach crosses that line onto the field, it's fair game. He came onto the field.
Right. And what blew my mind the whole time watching that and then watching the replays was it was clear as day that he got shoved back into the guy on the ground.
Tony
He
Romo
didn't
sounded
step
so
on
stupid
him.
talking.
Yes, he did.
He can't do either. Tony, open your eyes.
Yeah, like I don't understand. Are you guys not seeing the same replays that we're seeing at home? Like,
Yeah.
it was so obvious. Like he was just trying to get off the guy, because he landed on top of him.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire actually picked up his leg and tripped up Harrison. Then the guy pushed him.
They were tangled up. Okay, like Harrison came in on top of him. It wasn't like he hit him and they both fell down. Like he was on top of him. He was trying to get up. Yes. Somebody was trying to pull him up, and then he got shoved backward. Stepped backward because he's off balance. Steps on the guy on accident, and the coach shoves him.
Yeah, they're trying to. A lot of people were like, I was listening to Undisputed with the whole Skip and Shannon show, and Skip was, or Shannon had said something like, "Oh no, he was stomping on him," and
no,
Skip was like, "Don't compare him to like Ndamukong Suh. That's not what he's doing. He's not out there purposely stepping on the guy." And I'll give it to Skip Bayless. A lot of times I don't agree with what he said, but he was all behind Ronnie Harrison and thought that it was bullcrap what happened. Because, okay, you want to call a penalty because he pushed the coach. I understand that he shouldn't do that. Even if the coach did something first, he shouldn't do that. But to eject one of the starting safeties from the game.
In one of the highest anticipated games of the year.
It was the most watched game on Sunday.
Since it was the most watched week 1 matchup I think I saw since 1998.
Yeah, so it puts the Browns defense, who we were already kind of skeptical, but we were hopeful, and we were like, all right, well, Delpit's out. Well, at least we got Ronnie Harrison, and that was gone. I don't even know how many plays.
It was quick, man. It was early on.
I'll tell you, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plays. He played 5 plays.
It's unbelievable. And then for the league, how is the coach not getting any further punishment?
So I remember it happening right in the game, and then I was like, oh boy, this isn't going to be good. Penalty on, and then they came out and they're like, unsportsmanlike conduct on the bench of the Chiefs, and I was like, wow, okay.
But then I saw the replay and I was like, oh no, they got it right.
Right. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, the new rule this year where New York can radio in and say if something happened or to help out. Okay, I would have got it if they would have said about the penalty part of it. But man, to throw him out of the game was...
That's the part that drove me the most angry watching that, was that they actually called back in from New York, seeing all the same crap that we were able to see at home, right? I mean, come on. You tell me they don't have the same... Are we seeing different things on the field?
Yeah,
and they say he needs to be ejected? Those were offsetting penalties. Yep. Keep playing, move on.
Yeah, and I think the coach was a former player too, so he knows what he's doing.
Oh, he's a former wide receiver.
Yeah, so and like they said, he steps onto the field, it's fair game. You came out to me.
Yeah.
Yep. So if you put, they're saying I'm a grown man. If you push me, you're getting pushed back.
Yeah.
Like this isn't tiddlywinks.
Yeah, and J.C. Treader has been hot. A lot of people were mad on Sunday. J.C. Treader still upset about it, and
good.
obviously he's part of the
president of the players union.
Yeah,
yeah. So they want a suspension. They want something for the coach because he shouldn't get off scot-free.
No, it cost us one of our best players against the heaviest passing team in the league.
Yeah,
it's crazy. But we got to move on a little bit here. So
tune into Patreon for some more.
So I do want to talk about our linebackers are still cheeks. That's butt cheeks for you guys. Because Anthony Walker, I noticed him out there a lot. His grade was only 59. Taki had a 57-1 grade. Mac Wilson, we were so pumped that he was having a good camp. There in a good preseason, there's clearly a difference between preseason and regular season because Mac Wilson still sucks. He had a 40.5 overall grade. His coverage grade was 33. So he can't cover anybody. And he can't tackle anybody. What the hell can he do as a starting linebacker?
And Mac, I'm hoping, man, because you're going to obviously be a part of this team. I'm hoping you're going to hear this and this is going to inspire you and you're going to want to turn your season around.
And it sucks because I like Mac Wilson, but I'd like him a lot more if he didn't play for the Browns.
Yeah, I mean, it's the stuff that's crazy is every time there was a missed tackle, it was 51.
It was him.
It was
51. every time.
And the play that Patrick Mahomes just walked into the end zone, he didn't even put a juke. He didn't
touch it, and he didn't even get a finger on him.
Patrick Mahomes didn't even juke. He just casually changed directions. And Mac Wilson he wouldn't have been down in flag football.
Yeah. It's not even two-hand tap.
No, I mean, come on.
Yep.
And here's the thing is, he wasn't the worst linebacker. Malcolm Smith's grade was almost half of his.
Oh my gosh.
It was 29.
Yeah.
And
he's supposed to be the cover guy.
Yeah, so
the cover linebacker.
So I was complaining about the defense and Joe Woods in our Patreon text, and one of our guys was texting about how he went back and watched the game and thought it was a solid game playing out of Joe Woods. I have to respectfully disagree, because there's no game plan in the world that says Malcolm Smith covers Travis Kelce one-on-one in the red zone. And I don't care that if in his career Malcolm Smith has been a good cover linebacker. He is old. There's a reason he was available to us last year. And this is one of the best tight ends of all time and one of their only two weapons. So you double cover him in the red zone. You double cover him every play. You especially double cover him in the red zone and at the goal line. He made Malcolm Smith look so stupid over and over and over again. It wasn't even close. It was easy. Malcolm Smith, we might as well have played defense with 10 guys on the field on those plays.
Yeah, and just honestly, one of the most frustrating things watching the game as a fan at home on TV and everything, and you can't see the whole field, right?
Yeah.
So Patrick Mahomes, it's just every time he drops back to throw, and then as soon as he lets the ball go, I'm just like, whoever he's throwing to is wide open. Whoever's throwing to is wide open. Well, and there it is, Kelce, no one on him. And Hill, no one on him.
Here's the thing. The Chiefs, roster-wise, and why I said this in the offseason, the Browns are a better roster top to bottom than the Chiefs. The Chiefs have Pat Mahomes.
Yep.
Their top is just...
They have Pat Mahomes, Kelce, and Hill.
Yeah.
Because... So Hill and Kelce had 17 catches on 22 targets. Kelce had 6 catches on 7 targets and 2 touchdowns. He had 2 touchdowns and 6 catches. And Hill had 11 catches on 15 targets. They combined for almost 300 yards. The next leading receiver was Clyde
Edwards-Helaire
for 3 catches for 29 yards. We let 2 guys beat us, and it wasn't 2 guys that came out of nowhere. It was the 2 guys we knew
and we have game planned for.
Supposedly.
Right? Yeah, well, you would think. The thing that gets me, if we were hoping and talking about our improved defense all offseason and all these, guys we brought in and how much better our defense was going to be. We just gave up 200 yards to one guy the first game.
Yeah.
That's not improved. Receivers don't get 200-yard games very often, and we just gave up. I mean, he had 197, but who cares?
Tell me this. But watching our defense Sunday and watching our defense last year, if there were no names on the backs of the jersey, would you be able to guess which years was what defense?
Same team.
No. They looked the exact same. And John Johnson looked terrible. So at what point, again, I'm not going to overreact because we don't play Patrick Mahomes and Hill and Kelce every week, and they're the best at it. It's arguably the best tight end and the best receiver and the best quarterback all on the same team. But how do we not have a strategy coming into the game to make anybody else beat us? The Chiefs are not a pick your poison. If you can limit those 2, they don't have anything else.
Yeah, okay, so the biggest thing that they don't run the football well.
No.
At all. Like Clyde Edwards-Helaire he's nice,
okay.
But
3.1 a carry.
He's not great. Okay, so a lot of teams, when you're trying to stop the run, you obviously you kind of have more in your front, 7 or what, you have that extra linebacker in there to help stuff the run. Well, they're not running the football. So me personally, I know Kelce's a big guy, but we have a guy on our bench that's a cornerback that his job, he covers people like Greedy Williams. Greedy Williams was on for 8 snaps. That's it. He played 12% of the plays. I'd rather have Greedy Williams covering Kelsey than Malcolm Smith. I don't care if Malcolm Smith's bigger or not.
Or have Greedy and Malcolm on him.
Yeah.
Like, how hard is it to double? This is the other receivers on their team. McCole Hardman, Demarcus Robinson, Byron Pringle, and Blake Bell. Demarcus Robinson and McCole Hardman every once in a while have an okay game. I would double cover Kelsey and double cover Hill every play. And if McCole Hardman has 200 yards and they beat us,
so be it.
So be it. Good job to you guys.
I mean, this is kind of elementary, going back when you want to think about this of, okay, I'm a coach of a team. I know the two guys that could beat me, regardless of what sport it is. Let's say it's baseball. Well, guess what? Aaron Judge hits some home runs. Probably not going to pitch to him. I'll pitch to the other guys.
Yeah.
Even if Judge gets on, in certain basketball, not going to let Kevin Durant beat me. I'm going to make him I'm going to double team him if he gets the ball in the low post. You just have to make that decision as a coaching staff, as a plan. And it goes a little bit on Stefanski too. I'm not going to let him out because he's got to know and see that and just be like, hey, we played these guys in the playoffs last year. Kelsey and Hill kind of tore us up. We're not going to let that happen in week 1. No, that conversation obviously never happened.
No, because...
And Romo and saying on this broadcast, it's all about how they're scheming them to get open. They're running the plays for them to get open. No. Just like, it's not that hard.
There's two guys to key on. And here's the thing. I get that they're the Chiefs and they put up numbers and they do really well against everybody. They don't do this to the good defenses. They still score on good defenses and they still might do some good things, but it's hard. It's a struggle. It's not them just doing whatever they want every time they get the ball. Travis Kelce does not have 2 touchdowns on 6 catches every single game.
No.
Tyreek Hill does not have 200 yards receiving every single game. At some point, if you're a good defense, it's got to at least be a struggle. I just watched this team in the Super Bowl not that long ago get murdered by a good defense. We are nowhere near a good defense yet.
No.
And again, I don't want to overreact to one game and be calling for Joe Woods' heads and stuff, but...
But we
brought in some good players. We brought in what we thought were good players last year, and they all went backwards in this system. And right away, we got good players this time, and John Johnson was not good.
Yeah. And obviously, we got some room that they can all get better. Because we're hoping we're going to see this team again in January or whenever it might be down the road.
Yes.
That they got some time and it was obviously our first week playing together, which is kind of like, hey, maybe you should have played a little bit more in the preseason. Yeah. Maybe you should have got some of those reps in and quit with the whole, like, I'm a starter, I don't ever have to play in preseason games. Sometimes it comes back to bite you.
Here's the thing. Patrick Mahomes got a $500 million contract and he played in the preseason.
Yeah.
So we can play in the preseason. And again, I'm not calling for Joe Woods' heads today, but if we get to the bye week and our defense is still awful,
change of the voice in the locker room or something.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing that I wanted to real quick, probably one of our last things to talk about the defense that I wasn't happy with. The Tack McKinley has a 69.5 grade, and he's our top defensive end. Clowney and Myles Garrett, I just felt like I was constantly asking, where are you?
So
somebody just get to Mahomes so he can't sit back there for 5 seconds and Hill's able to get open. Because we're not going to be able to cover Hill for 3 seconds. So you're going to have to get there a little quicker.
So here, I was thinking the same thing. I was actually screaming it during the game, saying, where's Myles? Where's Clowney? Myles looks like he's dogging it. I saw this stat. The Browns generated pressure on Mahomes 44% of his dropbacks, the 5th highest rate in the NFL in week 1. Mahomes is just good against pressure. Against pressure, Mahomes went 8 of 13, 185 yards and a touchdown. Now, here's the thing, though. Now, here's the problem. We were getting pressure off the edge, which if you go back and watch, we would get pressure off the edge and Mahomes would just step up. We got to get pressure. You got
to mix it up.
And to beat the good quarterbacks, Brady, Mahomes, it's double A gap. You got to get pressure up the middle. Our interior D line is garbage. And this is me. I'm not, a professional defensive coordinator. I would have put Tack on the outside, maybe put McDowell or Jackson or I don't know, somebody.
McDowell I thought had some bright moments.
Yeah, and I would have moved Miles and Clowney inside.
You know who wrecks games from the inside? Aaron Donald.
Yeah, because because Tack was our highest graded outside the end, so he proved that he could get to the quarterback off. So imagine if you put Tack on that edge and then moved Myles Garrett down there in the A gap over the center. What center wants to try to block Myles Garrett and snap the ball? There's not.
You don't have enough time.
Yeah, or how about this? Put him on the other side in the A gap. The center, guard, tackle were all rookies on the right side of their O line. It's like that. This is the biggest killer to me. It's the same thing with Ohio State's D coordinator. No adjustments. We're all watching it, and there's no adjustments ever made. It's like they're the Chiefs. They're really good. We just got to try to do this. No, do something to try to change it.
The way Mahomes was stepping up through the pressure, I was just having nightmares of Lamar Jackson, 150 yards rushing, no problem. He's gonna tear us up if we play like that.
That's my biggest takeaway is Lamar is, unless something changes quick, Lamar is going to run for 200 yards against us.
Yeah, I mean, I know we dog his passing, and last night wasn't spectacular,
but he will run down our throats.
If he gets a free release like that, what are you going to do? You can't stop him.
No.
Yeah.